Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are exploring Marvel's Netflix shows, and more specifically, will Disney Plus actually censor Daredevil and Netflix's Defender shows? But before we get any deeper, guys, just remember that at least one of my videos every week will not be coming to the YouTube channel. It will only be exclusive to my BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble channels. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not followed me on at least one of those three alternative sites, the links to those are down in the description below. But anyway, guys, let's get right into this article here from ScreenRant, aptly titled, Will Disney Plus Censor Daredevil and Netflix's Defender Shows? Daredevil and Netflix's other Marvel shows from the Defenderverse are heading to Disney Plus, but could they be censored for the United States? And right off the bat, guys, I'm going to say that their concerns are not misplaced. You know, there have been plenty of cases of Disney censoring their older movies and TV shows, and hell, even refusing to re-release certain things, like a Song of the South. Anyone? Yet I remember seeing the music video for Zippity Doodah on the Disney Channel all the time growing up. But anyway, enough with that tangent. With Daredevil and Netflix's other Marvel shows heading to Disney Plus in some territories, concerns have grown that the shows could be censored to fit Disney's streaming service. Long before Disney Plus launched and began releasing WandaVision, Loki, and more, Netflix was the home for the biggest Marvel content on the small screen. After years of being exclusively available to stream on Netflix, Disney has regained the rights and has plans to bring Netflix's Marvel shows to Disney Plus. And guys, as of the recording and uploading of this video, February 28th, 2022, literally today, is the last day that you can watch the Marvel Netflix, the Defenderverse shows on Netflix. However, the question remains whether or not the Mouse House could change and censor the content of these adult-oriented shows. The Netflix era of Marvel TV began in 2014 when the two companies agreed to a deal for 5 shows. This included single-season orders for Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and plans for the team-up special, The Defenders. Since Marvel owned the rights to these characters, Netflix licensed ownership of the characters to create the shows. At first, it was a fruitful partnership as Daredevil and Jessica Jones earned rave critical reviews in 2015 and secured renewals. Marvel and Netflix even announced The Punisher as a spin-off of Daredevil Season 2. It all built to the Defenders crossover event in 2017. While every individual character's show received at least 2 seasons, Netflix began canceling shows in 2018. It was completely out of the Marvel business when Jessica Jones Season 3 ended in 2019. Nearly 3 years after Netflix's Marvel shows ended, their rights have now reverted to Disney, resulting in them leaving Netflix at the end of February 2022. It marks an end of an era for Marvel shows made for adults that didn't shy away from violence, language, sex, and various social and political conversations. However, the nature of Daredevil in the Netflix shows also leaves their futures with Disney up in the air. It's brought significant concerns about the family-friendly studio that frowns upon everything from explicit language to smoking could censor the shows, especially if Daredevil and the rest are heading to Disney Plus. The news that Daredevil and other Marvel shows were leaving Netflix came without confirmation of where they would stream next, but Disney Plus quickly became the hopeful destination. It has now been confirmed that Disney's streaming service will house Netflix's former Marvel shows, at least in some parts of the world. Canada was the first country to confirm the shows were coming to Disney Plus. The important distinction here is that Disney Plus operates with Star in Canada, just as it does in many international territories. Star is an extra section of Disney Plus included internationally that allows Disney to put certain content behind a parental control wall. While Disney Plus Canada has confirmed that the former Netflix shows are coming in March 2022, it is not yet confirmed where they will exist in the streaming service. It is expected that they will be placed in the Star section of Disney Plus, as it gives an added layer of assurance that children won't begin watching any of the violence or sex scenes included in the shows without their parents' knowledge. Disney Plus Star already houses Hulu's Marvel content like MODOK and Hellstrom. So it makes sense that Netflix Marvel shows such as Daredevil will also live behind the parental control section internationally. However, the question is what will happen to Netflix's Marvel shows in the United States, as Disney Plus does not have Star domestically due to Disney's stake in Hulu. If Disney follows who they've divided content between Disney Plus and Hulu in the US, it seems the latter will be where Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and so on will stream. This would be a big get for Hulu, although it would also keep these Marvel shows separated from the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe titles on Disney Plus. Marvel Studios and actually, hold on. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'd like to point this out, right here. This would be a big get for Hulu, although it would keep these Marvel shows separate from the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe titles on Disney Plus. Funny how they're now considering the Defenders verse as part of the MCU, because when Kevin Feige got the keys to the kingdom, he rendered everything that was not a movie, basically non-canon. He rendered Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. non-canon. He rendered Agent Carter uncanon. He rendered all the Marvel Netflix shows non-canon. So it's kind of funny how now the big concern is, well, if they go over to Hulu, then they're gonna be kept separate from the rest of the MCU titles on Disney Plus. Funny, because I thought that the Marvel Netflix shows were now no longer canon to the MCU. I just thought that was a little funny. Anyway, getting back to it. Marvel Studios and Disney now have some incentive to get Daredevil and the other Marvel Netflix shows on Disney Plus. Charlie Cox returned as Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home and is expected to be in many other upcoming MCU Disney Plus shows. Vincent D'Onofrio also reprised his Daredevil role as Kingpin in Hawkeye. These appearances boosted interest in a show that ended years ago, resulting in Daredevil becoming one of Netflix's most popular shows again. Putting these shows on Disney Plus gives fans who haven't seen the Netflix shows an easy path to learning more about Matt Murdock, Wilson Fisk, and others. Disney Plus could even promote Daredevil as something viewers should watch after Hawkeye. It's also possible that the Netflix shows coming to Disney Plus in March could be part of a more significant... Could be part of a more significant tonal shift for the streaming service. Marvel Studios has Moon Knight beginning at the end of the month, and the series is said to push the boundaries of violence in the MCU. That could give Oscar Isaac's show a tone similar to Netflix's Marvel shows. There are also persistent rumors that Disney plans to add Star to Disney Plus domestically. Doing so would open the door for Daredevil and the rest of the Marvel Netflix content to exist there if the House of Ideas still views the programming as being too adult to not have behind a parental control option. All of the Marvel shows that originated from Netflix were made with a TVMA rating, the TV equivalent to an R rating for movies. Since Disney Plus has not become a home for TVMA or R-rated content, the concerns about the studio censoring Daredevil and the other shows in the Defenders universe are quite understandable. It isn't just a fear that fans of the shows have, as even creators involved in the series have expressed some concern that Disney could edit or cut certain scenes, bleep certain words, or blur certain images. Disney Plus has a complicated history of censoring specific pieces of content. When the streaming service added Elizabeth Shue's The Adventures of Babysitting, it removed both of its F-bombs by using the PG edit of the PG-13 movie. Disney was also met with backlash for changing Tom Hanks' classic splash, including the now viral moment of Daryl Hannah's butt being covered by digitally lengthened hair. Both of those titles have warnings at the beginning of the movie saying they've been edited for content. However, X-Men Days of Future Past streams on Disney Plus with its one F-bomb and a shot of Hugh Jackman's butt unedited. The latter is a more recent addition to the streaming service and could show a willingness on Disney's part to include explicit language and brief nudity. It's also worth noting that Marvel's content is already maturing on its own and growing closer to what Netflix Marvel shows included. Moon Knight is explicitly taking a dark and violent look at superheroes, but even The Falcon and Winter Soldier had bloody moments of violence, especially with John Walker. With the cinematic universe firmly in the teenage years, with the cinematic universe firmly in the teenage years of its existence, it only makes sense to start maturing with its audience in that fashion. The Netflix Marvel shows can be part of that movement as long as Disney Plus doesn't censor them, should they ultimately stream there domestically. As tempting as it could be for Disney to censor Daredevil and Netflix's Defender shows, it would be the much smarter move not to alter the shows. It would undoubtedly bring nothing but backlash from fans who have spent the last several years loving the shows as they exist. That is something Disney should want to avoid in a moment like this. The company should want fans excited to watch these popular Marvel titles again, but on their streaming service. Censoring them could start boycotts and petitions against them, and have fans tell others not to check them out. You know what it could also lead to? It could also lead to a lot of people sailing the high seas, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum to get the uncensored versions of these shows. And if you don't believe me, watch what happens if Disney decides to censor and alter the Defender shows. It's also important to remember that the adult themes and content of Netflix's Defender shows were done for a reason. Disney can reach an adult audience that isn't as catered to on Disney Plus through these shows, but censoring them would also certainly hurt the shows. The studio's potential decision to edit the Netflix Marvel shows would likely be made without their original creators' involvement. This would mean that Disney would forever alter how people view these shows just to have them on Disney Plus. The original versions would mostly be lost forever, and it would irreverently change the stories and characters each show includes. No, they wouldn't. The original versions wouldn't be lost forever, because I guarantee you some people have archived them on certain sites where people can go yo ho ho and a bottle of rum and can access the original versions if they want to. Would audiences still think Kingpin is as terrifying of a villain without his violent and bloody outbursts? Would Luke Cage's world and exploration of a black man's life in Harlem work as well if Disney bleeped or replaced every use of the N-word? How can Jessica Jones explore its story of sexuality without showing her sex scenes with Luke Cage? Can The Punisher deal with Frank Castle's trauma without showing his tragic past and deadly vigilante acts? The short answer is no, which is why Disney Plus can't censor Daredevil and Netflix's Defender shows. And guys, just me personally, I don't have any hope of Disney not censoring these shows if they go to Disney Plus. What I think is going to happen, this is prediction time. I have no idea what's going to happen as of the recording and uploading of this video. I think Disney is just going to throw these up on Hulu just to avoid the backlash as they brought up, because that backlash alone could damage them more in the long run. And as I said, how many people would go to certain websites to where they could sing yo ho ho and a bottle of rum and grab these original versions and just never subscribe to these streaming services, because it's, well, if you don't give people what they want, they're going to get this content whether you want them to or not, referring to the original versions of these shows. So Disney, you can either provide the original versions, or people are gonna seek it out anyway, whether you want them to or not. What are you gonna do? Sue everyone into oblivion? Ask the music industry how that worked out for them. Oh, they had to finally stop suing people because they were spending $20 million a year to get $500,000 in settlements from people who downloaded like 3 Britney Spears songs, or families that didn't have a computer, or even dead people. Yes, the RIA at one point was even suing dead people. But anyway, guys, I've tangented off for too long. So basically, to end it, if they go to Disney Plus, they're probably going to censor them. But the smart move would be to put them on Hulu. Just avoid the backlash entirely, because the backlash alone could do a hell of a lot more damage than good. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here before I ramble on for too long again. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I am terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.